All right, so let's start with the big story that we are tracking on WION at this hour, where the state of Israel has carried out yet another airstrike in the Syrian port of Latakia. Now, according to the Syrian news agency SANA, the Israeli warplanes violated Syrian airspace and then reportedly fired missiles on the port town of Latakia. And this happened early this morning, and this also resulted in large explosions and fires. Remember, this is the second such attack which the state of Israel has carried out in Syrian territory in the last 1 month. In the latest attack, the Israeli missiles fired from the Mediterranean struck the Syrian port of Latakia. They reportedly were targeting some kind of a container yard. Now, Latakia happens to be the principal port city for Syria, and it is located on the Mediterranean Sea. It is situated about 45 kilometers southeast of Syria's border with Turkey. And it also acts as a vital gateway into Syria for goods of all kinds that Syria needs to import. The port accommodates tankers, container ships and vessels that carry cargo. Latakia is also an important facility where much of Syria's imports actually are brought into the country, including huge amount of cargo from Iran. The strike reportedly took place at about 6:51 a.m. early this morning, and it also ignited a fire in the container terminal, damaging a hospital and also some residential buildings and shops. Now, according to Syria's news agency, the firefighters are battling the flames that were caused as a result of this bombing carried out by the state of Israel. Now, the visuals on your screen shows the extent of the damage because of these missile strikes, with flames and smoke rising from the attack terminal. The attack was launched from the Mediterranean side. It targeted towns of Al-Hafeh and Masyaf. And apart from this, the missile strikes also struck a civilian plastic warehouse, resulting in the death of 1 person and wounding 6 others. Now, this, remember, is not the first time that the state of Israel has violated the Syrian airspace and has carried out attacks of this nature. The Israeli missiles have targeted Syrian ports in the past. On the 7th of December, earlier this month, the state of Israel also flew its fighter jets over the Mediterranean Sea and reportedly fired several missiles into the Syrian port of Latakia, which led to 5 explosions at the port. Now, since the civil war broke out in Syria in 2011, Israel has routinely carried out hundreds of such airstrikes on targets within Syrian territories. It claims to have targeted government positions, and also it claims to have targeted certain Tehran-backed forces, including the Hezbollah that is very active in Lebanon, that has been deployed over the last decade to support Bashar al-Assad's war in Syria. In 2019, Syria had announced that it was planning to turn over the container terminal at Latakia port to Iran. And earlier this year, Iran has said that it is planning to set up a direct shipping lane between Latakia and one of its southern ports. Russia, which along with Iran has helped the Assad government regain control over much of Syria, operates an airbase that is said to be just 20 kilometers away from the Latakia port. Meanwhile, the Israeli Prime Minister Naftali Bennett alluded to the strikes and said that the Israeli military was constantly fighting the bad forces in the Middle East. But what is interesting is that Israel does not formally come forth and claim these attacks that it carries out in Syria. WION is now available in your country. Download the app now and get all the news on the move.